Hey there and welcome. Today we're diving into something really powerful. It's all about how to reframe a personality trait that so many of us are told is a weakness. We're going to flip that script and turn it into a remarkable strength. Let's talk about the Super Sensor Lab.
So, let's kick things off with something that I'm sure will feel very, very familiar to a lot of you. And that's the heavy weight of a certain label.
So let me ask you something. Have you ever been told you're too sensitive? You know what I mean, right? Maybe it was when you were a kid. Or hey, maybe it was just last week. It's a phrase that it just stings. It suggests you feel things too deeply, that you're fragile, or that your reactions are just out of proportion. It's the kind of comment that can make you feel completely misunderstood.
But let's just pause and challenge that for a second. What if that label is built on a total misunderstanding of how some people are wired? What if it's ignoring the most important, most interesting parts of the story? It's definitely time we explored a different perspective.
And this is where we get to introduce a brand new term, and more importantly, a whole new mindset that's all about empowerment. So let's meet the super sensor. Okay, check this out. On one side, you've got the classic term, highly sensitive person. And let's be honest, it often gets saddled with some pretty negative baggage, right? Being easily overwhelmed, fragile, or difficult. But just watch what happens when we reframe it, when we call it a super sensor. All of a sudden, the whole conversation changes. The focus immediately snaps to these incredible strengths, being perceptive, totally attuned to subtleties, and a deep processor of information. The trait is the exact same, but the frame we put around it, that changes everything.
So, just to be super clear, super sensor is a deliberate choice. It's a term for people with heightened sensory processing that's designed to shift the focus away from the challenges and put it squarely on the unique advantages that come with being wired this way. It's not just a new label, you see, it's a whole new lens to see yourself through.
All right, now you might be wondering about that second part of the name, the lab. This isn't just some catchy phrase. Nope, it signals a very specific and proactive way of working with this trait.
So what does the lab really stand for? Well, it's a whole methodology. First, it means there's a research-backed approach here. So it's all grounded in the real science of sensory processing, not just feel-good ideas. Second, and this is key, it requires an experimental mindset. It's about you becoming a curious scientist in your own life. And finally, the whole point is self-development, using this new understanding to actively build a better, more fulfilling life for yourself.
And this is where it all gets really practical. This is about turning this big idea into a personal journey of discovery and, well, real improvement.
The method breaks down into this simple four-step loop. You start with observation, just noticing your responses to the world without judgment. For instance, I always feel totally drained after large social gatherings. Then you hypothesize new strategies. Okay, what if I try taking a 10-minute quiet break every hour? Step 3 is to actually test it out in the real world. And finally, you integrate what works. You look at the results and decide if this is a keeper. It becomes this awesome dynamic process of constant learning and adapting.
So, when you put it all together, what do you get? When you combine this new name with this new method, you get something that's honestly, truly transformative. The Super Sensor Lab. The name itself really contains the entire philosophy. Super Sensor lets you reclaim your identity by focusing on strength, while Lab gives you the practical toolkit to go out and build a life that actually honors that identity. And that is the ultimate takeaway here. This is so much more than a simple name change or just thinking positively. It's like you're installing a completely new operating system for your own personal growth. You're replacing a passive, reactive mindset with an active, curious one, which ultimately gives you real agency over your own well-being. Which leads us to one last thought. What if you stopped seeing sensitivity as some kind of flaw that needs to be fixed, and instead you started seeing it as a superpower to be understood and harnessed in your own personal lab? Just think, what could you discover? What amazing new strengths might you unlock? The experiment is all yours to begin.